Almost 2 million people are brought before England's criminal courts every year.
You have been arrested quite a few times before, from what the officer tells me, haven't you? 29 convictions, 64 offences.
More than half of them are legally aided, at a cost to the taxpayer of £1 billion.
The best thing you can do is zip your lip and not say anything, simple as.
Britain's busiest legal aid practice is Tuckers. They handle thousands of these cases every year.
Where do you put the knife?
I put it on my waistline.
We've been following them for 2 years, with unprecedented access to their lawyers and their clients.
I'm not going to plead guilty to nothing, right? I don't care.
As the cost of criminal justice comes under increasing scrutiny, this is how justice really works.
There's now a pursuit situation.
The police race after a car they suspect has been stolen.
Roger that, I'll authorise the pursuit. You can continue. Advance driver, you're the pursuit commander, keep it coming, please.
They chase the BMW along the narrow roads to the north of Manchester.
I should be back on the main road at Atmill now. Yeah, vehicle overtaking, it's 70 miles an hour. Still New A Road towards Shaw. It's 60 miles an hour. It's going up the dirt track, stand by. The dirt track off New A Road. Get a bit of distance on me now. I've no idea where I am. I'm on a dirt track going up the hill. Clive, go to where you were seen earlier, Wood End. I've come up. Oh, in fact, it's abandoned here now.
The driver's gone, but the police suspect they know who he is. Sam Greenwood and his friend Dexter Webster live in the countryside outside Manchester, where it's hard to get around without wheels. Sam is 19. He's charged with stealing the BMW and driving whilst disqualified. He's due in court and has a meeting with his lawyer, Asim Ali, to go through the evidence, with Dexter in tow.
There's a BMW which was stolen off a drive from the 19th of September. Now, when that vehicle was taken, no one's seen the vehicle being taken, so it just goes missing overnight. And the next time it's seen is towards the end of October, on the 29th of October. Now, there are 2 witnesses who indicate that they've seen you driving that car. What you basically said is they're making it up.
Yeah.
There is a crime scene investigator or a SOCO officer who's provided a statement. They basically say that your prints are linked to 2 items, and obviously that's where you will have difficulties.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think you've been able to, or you haven't so far given me an explanation as to how that could have happened. We're going to have to see how the evidence goes, but I don't necessarily want to call you to give evidence, because that's not a point we have discussed before.
It's not the first time Asim's dealt with Sam. In the last 3 months, he's defended him 3 times in court and got him acquitted 3 times.
You have had a run of luck. Now, we're going to have to see whether that luck holds or not, because today, if these witnesses turn up, then the court's going to think, why would a witness turn up to court to lie? Do they hate you that much?
See what happens.
Yeah.
Hope for the best.
Good morning, it's Claire from Tucker Solicitors.
The main thing is stop listening to what the police say.
Tuckers is the busiest legal aid practice in Britain.
He's got an armed robbery, possession with intent, yeah.
70% of their business comes from returning clients.
Anybody who appears before you at the police station or at court for a bladed article, warn them, they're probably looking at going to prison.
Franklin Sinclair runs the Manchester office.
We are a vital check on the power of the state, and that does involve us taking on unpopular causes, representing all kinds of people, from hardened criminals to mentally ill people, people who can't understand the system, people who need expert legal advice and help. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to have their say, they wouldn't be able to get a fair trial.
A Tucker's client is on trial accused of being a con man, defrauding and blackmailing an elderly doctor out of his life savings with an elaborate web of lies.
What's got to take your hat off?
Hunter Gray and assistant Ros Weeks are representing him.
Here we are. We're well into the trial. How do you think it's going?
How do I think it's going? I think it went all right when you question the doctor.
Yep.
I think it proved the doctor gave me the money willingly, but there was inconsistencies with what he said. I never told him that I had cancer, never. I've known people who have died of cancer. If I said that to anybody, that's completely disrespected people who are living with cancer on a daily basis and a yearly basis. I would never do that to anybody because that's disgusting. I've read people in the paper who've done that. I'd never say that I'd have cancer to anybody. I told him I had migraine headaches, and that's what really angers me.
He still said that he only gave you the money because he believed that you were extremely ill.
That's rubbish.
But that's his evidence.
He knew very well that what I wanted the money for. He knew very well that it was to have cosmetic surgery, even though it failed.
The prosecution say this man is a fraud who's lied about everything, including his identity. So, who is he?
The complainant is saying that you told him that you were born in Italy, that you were raised in Italy, that your family is Italian. And you're going to have two sisters who are called to go, that is not true. They're simply saying that if you've told the court that you are in fact Gianfranco Giovanni Verardi, born in Caserta, Italy, then you're not. You're Paul Marsland from Rochdale.
Caserta, not
Sorry.
Caserta.
The judge has said it's relevant because it will help the jury to decide if you're telling the truth about your background. Are we disputing what they say?
What do you suggest?
Well, I need to know what your instructions are. It's not for me to suggest anything. Either what they say is right or it's not right. And if you're telling me it's not right, then I challenge their evidence.
What do you suggest? Ros?
What do I suggest? Well, I can't answer that for you. I don't know whether it's true or not. Only you can answer those questions.
There's the further complication of what he's told the police.
The defendant said that Paul Marsden was the name on his birth certificate.
Did I?
Yeah, that's what you said in your interview. He said that he changed his name by deed poll in 1996 to Scott Travis because he knew someone called Scott and saw the name Travis on the back of a florist's.
You're sort of funny, aren't you?
I'm just reading what you've said.
What do you think of the jury? One of them keeps giving me the eyes. I don't mean that, but he just keeps looking at me.
Well, they won't look at you. The jury, they want to see who it is they're trying, and inevitably they're going to look at the person in the dock. I'm not putting you on the spot now, but you've got to make a decision.
I'm not going to plead guilty to anything. I've come so far, why should I plead guilty to it? I know there's evidence against me, but I'm going to tell you something now. I'm not going to plead guilty to nothing, right? I don't care. I put a lot of trust in Ros and Hunter. After watching him question people in the case, and he's made them rattle on the stand, and I just think that's the sign of a good lawyer. I just think you've got to be honest with him, which I am doing.
My client, a troubled individual, very entertaining. But he's got a lot of personal problems, I think. Unfortunately, having personal problems is no defence to criminal activity.
In Greater Manchester, there are 88 reports of violent crime every day.
He's saying that it was a mob attack on him, and
The witnesses mention it.
he doesn't know what, other than the spade, what other weapons might have been used.
Today, advocate Ian Johnston and his assistant Neil Hampson are meeting a client charged with a serious offence involving a knife. Liam McMahon's about to go on trial for grievous bodily harm, a charge that carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment.
You've met Ian before, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Liam's come in with his dad to go through the defence statement. The case centres on what happened at a party Liam was attending when a group of uninvited lads showed up. There was fighting. Liam said he picked up a kitchen knife in self-defence. He says one of the gate crashers attacked him with a garden spade.
So he come running up to you, and before you know it, you're treading water backwards, and he's hit you on the left-hand side. And he's got the spade back again to go for you again. Yeah. And it's at that point that you've used the knife, aimed at anything. No, you with the knife, you just generally get away from me with that spade sort of thing. Yeah. And you accept at that point you've caught him in the neck.
Yeah. I felt like I was getting dizzy as I was on the floor, so I thought, I'm going to go out.
Do you remember somebody stamping on your head at that point?
Yeah, you just feel all the blows. I remember feeling, I can tell when it's metal, because I felt the cut.
On your head?
Yeah. I had a cut in my head and I was bleeding.
And you're pretty sure that was from the spade?
It's from something metal, yeah.
Something metal?
Yeah.
I think it's very important that when you do decide to give evidence, that you do put across how you were feeling at the time. Yeah. You know, you've got this guy here at the door with a group of mates, and one of them's wielding a spade, and I think it's important for you to get across, you know, to a jury exactly how you were feeling. Yeah. I know how I'd be feeling. Yeah.
The defence lawyers want to know whether Liam's victim, the main prosecution witness, has a criminal record. They've asked the prosecution to tell them.
So he may have previous 4 assaults, which we'll be looking for, and the other thing that we'll be looking for is whether he's got any previous convictions for dishonesty. Yeah. If he has, then we'll make a bad character application and say that he's not an honest witness. In a case like this, it's invariably going to come down to me calling him a liar.
With the trial just days away, the legal team is still short of defence witnesses.
The key issue, and I can't stress it enough, is that we need these witnesses. Yeah. If it's one-on-one, who knows which way the jury's going to go. If there's 2 of you against him, then your chances increase. At the end of the day, if they have any doubts about who's right and who's wrong, they've got to find you not guilty. And we've got to remember the stakes are pretty high. If you are convicted, obviously, you are looking at a fairly lengthy sentence for this sort of thing. After you. Never overly confident about trials. It's very hard to predict. I don't think you can say that any case is a typical case. They're all fairly unique. How many times do you besiege a house being attacked by a group of people with spades and sticks?
A bit nervous, and I was just trying not to think about it really, so, until the time.
I'm quite worried, to tell you the truth. Obviously, I don't want him to go to prison.
Sam Greenwood is charged with stealing a car and driving whilst disqualified. His case depends on whether 2 prosecution witnesses turn up to court. Asim's got bad news. One of them is on her way.
She's going to come and she's obviously going to give the evidence. That's going to cause you problems. Yeah. I'll let you know it. Obviously, I'll say to her, you don't even know who he is, how you identify him as the driver.
The prosecution witness tells the court she saw Sam driving the stolen car. Sam tells the court it wasn't him. The magistrates retire to consider their verdict.
She lies through her back teeth. But she does, 'cause I don't even know the girl. what's she going to achieve out of it? She don't get nothing out of it, does she? Except name being a grass. That's all she is.
The magistrates don't agree. They believe her. There's a break while they consider the sentence.
My friend got guilty when really I don't think he should have. It's quite scary. Hopefully he won't go inside.
It can be a bit difficult sometimes, but ultimately, there we are. Bad result today. Win some, you lose some.
It's keep getting banned that does me, because if I didn't get banned, I'd be driving and then I'd be doing what I want to do. Instead I have to nick cars to drive. It's stupid, but I don't really get the urge like I used to when I was a kid. But it's all done now, so that's it. This is the last time. If I get sent down, I get sent down. That's it. I've done it myself, it's my own problem. So it's no one else's fault.
Sam Greenwood was subsequently sentenced to 16 weeks in prison. He was disqualified from driving for 2 years. The district judge described Sam's record as appalling and said he needed to be kept off the road to protect society. Scott Travis, alias Paul Marsland, alias Count Gianfranco Giovanni Verardi, is nearing the end of his fraud trial. His girlfriend, Gail Hayworth, was facing charges for perverting the course of justice. These have been dropped. Things are going less well for him.
I'm not just concerned about Franco. Scott. I'm concerned about Scott. I'm concerned. I don't feel he's had a fair trial. I've seen two jurors sniggering, laughing, whispering to each other. We've pointed this out to our barrister. I only hope that he's got it in hand.
The prosecution says he's a con man from Rochdale. But in his kitchen, at least, he's pure Italian.
I was taught by my father, Franco Verardi, to make spaghetti bolognese with onions and shredded carrot. Just my father was Italian, it gave me a passion for Italian food, the way he taught me to cook, so that's why I love Italian food. But I eat it nearly every night. Other than that, it's fish and chips. I'm 44 now. I've been with Gail for 17 years. Before that, I was married. I've got 4 children. 2 of my daughters live in Tianjin in China, and another 2 daughters live in Singapore with their mother. She's a medical doctor.
He spent the day giving evidence. It's left him feeling a bit bruised.
This morning, the line of questioning, it was about my birth and about who my father is and that I've made this big story up, and I never made no story up at all. It's the truth. And if the prosecution don't believe it, I'm not really bothered. But obviously that's going to get me into trouble, isn't it? They're not going to believe me, and I'm going to be in trouble. And the jury won't believe me because I've been made to look a complete storytelling idiot. I'll go to my grave denying my guiltiness, because I know I wasn't guilty. I know that this man, can't mention his name, but this man was in love with me. He wanted me to be with him. I didn't want to be with him. I am not homosexual. I'm not a count, no. A few people have said I'm a right count, but I'm, you know... What disappointed me was my barrister just sat there, and I looked at him, and he just looked at the table, and he looked away from me. He could have sort of like, you know, give me a bit of confidence by looking at me in a certain way and say, you know, I'm here for you. I'm your barrister. I know I can't speak to you, but I'm still here for you. And he could have stood up for me. He really could have stood up for me this morning. I was nearly going to burst out in tears, but I didn't do. I was too strong for that. I stopped myself from... Get down! Too strong for that, you see. Are you ready to eat? It's finished now. I know that I'm going to be convicted, and I know that I'm going to go to prison. I know it. It's going to be about 6 years. I miss my cat very much. I was very close to it. I miss my cat, and I'll obviously miss Gail.
It takes just 15 minutes for the court to reject Scott's claims. He's found guilty on all counts.
I believe, because he lied about his identity, that has like swayed the jury completely, as if to say, well, if he lies about that, he lies about something else.
The evidence was overwhelming. Our job is to advise people as to the strength of the evidence and give them advice as to what pleas they should enter. He was given that advice. He chose to ignore it.
Scott Travis, alias Paul Marsland, alias Count Gianfranco Giovanni Verardi, was sentenced to 8 years in jail. Sam Greenwood is in prison. Now his friend Dexter Webster is in trouble. He asks for Tuckers to represent him at the police station. The lawyer on call is Shab Aslam. Unusually, a camera is allowed in to film the client interview.
You have been arrested quite a few times before, from what the officer tells me, haven't you? 29 convictions, 64 offences, yeah. So you've been a busy lad, and you're not very old now, are you? How old are you now?
18.
18, yes. So you've had a busy few juvenile years, haven't you?
Dexter is accused of breaking into a caravan parked on someone's drive.
We was all drunk and...
Yeah?
It wasn't my idea, but that's what got said, obviously.
Okay.
It was a bit of all our ideas.
Right.
I just got blame put on me because they're all knobs.
The victims are saying that a teapot was stolen from there.
See, that's a lie. That.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why would we steal a teapot?
But you've not taken that? OK.
No.
That wasn't your intention to go in and steal, just to go in and shelter. Was it raining or anything that day, or...?
No, we just got kicked out of a party, yeah.
OK.
And it was about 4:30 in the morning.
Right. OK. I'm more than happy for you to answer questions. Tell them exactly what you've told me, that you've not gone in there to steal anything, that it was merely a bit of a giggle with your friends, taking some shelter and just having a bit of a chill out inside the caravan. The police are going to have reservations about bailing you. They reckon you're like a one-man crime wave at this moment in time.
Dexter pleads guilty to the caravan offence.
I really don't want to be there again. I really don't. I want to change my life now. So hopefully I won't be back here.
Dexter avoids prison, but is ordered to do 20 hours unpaid work and pay £160 fine. His outstanding fines now total £890.
He can only afford to pay £5 a week, and at that rate, it's going to take him over 3 years to pay off his financial commitments. So effectively, it leaves him down dire straits. Sometimes it does bother you to see the same faces over and over again. I hope I've seen the last of Dexter.
Five days before he goes on trial for knife crime, Liam McMahon meets his lawyer at the scene of the attack.
Is this the garage area?
Neil wants Liam to walk him through what happened when the gate crashers arrived at the party.
Just show me, you pick up a knife, don't you, in the kitchen? Can you tell me whereabouts the knife was?
It was here.
So there was a block of knives there?
Like them there, but there was there.
OK, so that is the block of knives we're talking about?
I think she's got a new.
That's a new block of knives, is it?
Yeah.
What is it you do with that then?
Well, I could hear all the shouting and I could hear the girl screaming, so I thought I'd go out, have a look what's happening.
Yeah. Where'd you put the knife?
I put it on my waistline.
Was he still armed with the spade?
Yeah, one of them did, and then one of them would pull the fence panel out there.
So one of them actually removes the whole panel?
Yeah.
Which is still missing?
Yeah. I heard one of them shout, I have these in the garden. And I seen one of them had the spade and one of them had the fence panel, so the first thing I did was just pull the knife out. As I come out, I see one of the lads throw the spade at my car to clip the top of the roof. The group of them have come at me, so
they've run back at you?
Yeah, I'm backing off all the way down, so I'm just backing off and just fending them off.
Right.
And it's gone all the way back to the end of the road. So it was quite a distance as well that I've backed off.
The victim in the case, he describes the incident actually taking place on the drive.
Yeah, which is like...
We're nowhere near to the drive, are we now? We're a good 10, 20 yards away from the drive. Are they all running at you?
Yeah. There was a couple behind him, but it was just him with the spade.
He had the spade and he was running at you with the spade.
He ran past all them towards me. And because I'm stood there, and he swung it at me, it's hit me here.
Right.
And then that's when he swung at me again, and I just struck out.
And that had caused an injury, didn't it?
Yeah, to his neck.
Who did you ring the ambulance for?
Liam.
For Liam. And what injuries did he have? We've now been able to get the witnesses here today, so I'll be able to obtain full statements from those witnesses.
With the witnesses now on board, Neil's feeling confident about the case. He calls the prosecution.
There is reference to a spade and a dog chain being recovered from the garden where this incident took place. I'm just wondering if there's any photos of those items at all. There is only one witness for the prosecution, that is the complainant himself. The police have made attempts to speak to the group that he was with, that's 7 males, and not one of them has come forward. Make of that what you may. But obviously that's one point that we'll be relying upon, the fact that none of his friends have been cooperative. All right, thanks for your help, cheers, bye-bye.
Dexter Webster is back in Bury Police Station. This time, he's under arrest for van theft, or TWOC, taking a vehicle without the owner's consent. Now it's Katy Calderbank's turn to help him out.
Have you been involved in the initial theft of this vehicle?
Right, what
you,
it is...
You need to be honest as well. You need to tell me the truth, because if you tell me any lies...
I'm telling you the truth. I know he robbed that. I did not rob that.
Right, you must have had some sort of contact with this van.
I am something to do with it,
And
but I didn't know it was robbed.
Dexter tells Katy he and a mate were in the van in a park. 2 other men were hanging around.
They drove off, he says. So he thought, who were that? And then he said, go and move that. And so I went, right, and pass it here. So I've got the screwdriver. And I've gone and tried and started it up, tried moving it off the park. And then both of the males dragged me out of the van and started battering me.
No, I know, I get that. But effectively, you're guilty of TWOC then, aren't you? Because
yeah, that's what I mean.
You wouldn't start a car with a screwdriver, so you must have had some thought that it was a stolen vehicle. You must have had some belief, because that's all you need for the offence.
But I didn't rob it though.
No, I know you're not. There's no suggestion that you're initial taker, and to be fair to you, there isn't any evidence that you're the initial taker, right? But obviously, on them instructions, you are guilty of taking that vehicle without the owner's consent.
I'm not going to say that about.
I know you're not going to say that. That's why I wanted to get to your instructions and ask you whether you knew it was dishonest or not. Because obviously you've made certain comments to me about that offence now. The best thing you can do is zip your lip and not say anything. Simple as.
So it's to be a no-comment interview. But even someone as familiar with police interviews as Dexter needs practice.
So once that caution's been explained to you, that is more or less your cue then to start replying no comment.
Yeah.
They might start off with something very easy. Who do you live with? Who do you live with?
None.
No, you don't. No comment.
Oh, right, yeah. Right, I know that.
Yeah, no.
2 weeks later, the police tell Dexter Webster they will take no further action against him. Tuckers earned more than £8 million in legal aid fees last year. But the government wants to limit legal aid. So the future for law firms like Tuckers is uncertain.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the monthly management meeting. Right, the monitoring of the reporting of figures on the last occasion, we had a very smiley face. Unfortunately, today we've got a very sad face because we've billed £200,000 less in December than we did in November. So it's a pretty disastrous month, December. In fact, I think it's probably, Peter, not quite the worst month of the year.
One of
April.
our worst months so far.
April was the worst.
Well,
and then...
it was December, it was Christmas, courts are closed, people are off work. You know, really, December is a 3-week month, really.
I suppose so.
So I think that does explain some of it.
I suppose so. Not many advocates' bills, really low.
Not much Crown's low.
Crown's low, but yeah, low. Although they did have a very good month in November. There were a couple of big cases in there.
Mags and police station.
Mags and police station really low.
Yeah. But I think some of that it can be explained because of December.
Yeah, and as it's generally the 22nd, Peter, so we've got some idea. How's this month progressing? We're running on a knife edge, financially. We've got a reasonable size office, we've got a lot of infrastructure, the costs are higher and higher and higher, and legal aid is, it's just extremely challenging environment.
December, there was 223 recorded hearings overall in all the magistrates' courts that we cover, 146 of which were in Manchester.
Way down.
And like 168 in Manchester in 2011, so there's a 22 hearing drop on that one.
Yep. Everybody is feeling the pinch in different ways, depending on the structure and their costs and their size. Too many people chasing too little work. In essence, at too low a fee.
It means law firms need to bring in even more clients and keep the ones they already have. There's a familiar face at Bury Police Station.
Hi, Scott. I'm Katy Calderbank. I'm going to represent you today. Nice to meet you. Take a seat.
Scott Travis, who is serving an 8-year prison sentence for fraud, has been brought in to face fresh allegations. It seems the one-time Gianfranco Giovanni Verardi has been passing himself off as a wealthy Muslim businessman, Mohammed Kashif Ray.
Ray told the victim that he was from a religious family, provided the image of an attractive Asian male as his profile picture, and stated that he was a stockbroker who lived in Hales Barn, and the victim was attracted to him.
The police say he defrauded a woman he met on an online dating site of £12,000.
Ray started to communicate that he was having money difficulties. Ray requested that the victim gave him sums of money. You are suspected as being the offender, Ray. I'm going to ask you outright now, and I want the complete honesty from you, because obviously it will affect the advice that I give you. Are you the person that's responsible for...
No, I'm not. That's my friend Kashif. He lived in Doncaster, not Hale Barnes. I don't know his address in Doncaster. All I know is that he lived with his aunt and uncle there, and his 2 brothers and 1 sister. He said that his girlfriend of 2 years was actually fetching him around presents to the apartment, which I was to hand over to him. At one point, a package appeared that big,
yeah,
and it had any Asian clothes and a white envelope. In the white envelope was money of about £700, and I sealed it up and I just put it all back together.
Scott blames a friend called Kashif. The police blame Scott. They say he persuaded the woman to open a bank account for him. She even got him a Visa card.
Did you use that card at any point?
Yeah.
How many occasions did that happen?
Twice. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm not having this £12,000 pinned on me. You know what? If I'd have had £12,000 last year, right, I wouldn't even be in strange now. I would have gone away to Spain or something. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have even gone to all the court appearances. I'm telling you, but I never had no money at all.
Have you ever heard of a website called Single Muslim?
Yeah.
Right, how do you know about that website?
I was a member of it myself, not last year, the year before, and I cancelled it out.
The police say Scott's girlfriend, Gail Hayworth, was part of the fraud. They say she collected the money from the victim. Katy doesn't know what Gail has been telling the police.
Did Gail know that you're on that website?
Yeah.
What were her views about that you're on a Single Muslim's website?
She turned around and said to me, "What are you on that for?" And I said,
what kind of relationship do you have? Does she allow you to have other partners, or was she quite upset the fact that you're on them? What I'm trying to get at is, if you're to speak to the police, I'm not happy with this account because I think there's certain doubts that you're going to put in the cop's mind, and they've obviously got something up the sleeve.
Yeah.
I'm being quite honest with you.
Yeah, that's good.
They're going to spring it on you,
Yeah.
and bam, it's going to hit you, and you're not going to know what to say in the interview because it's recorded. You're going to want an answer there and then give the answers, and you're going to be on the spot.
Scott is unwilling to accept that his girlfriend of 17 years might be helping the police.
She said, "The police are playing games with us." This is what she said. "The police are playing games with us, keeping us apart. I love you very much." And I just put the phone down, right? So to my mind, I don't think Gail would go against me. Do you know what I mean?
Right, I think that, yeah, I just feel no comment, best for you today. You're in a lot of situations with this card on your own, and it's not good. We don't say anything.
Right.
See what they've got. I will look at you. Once the caution that's fair, I look at you, I give you a wink. That's your cue to start saying no comment.
Right.
If you do speak, I might give you a slight tap on your foot to shut up.
Right.
Apart from that, we'll be fine, I think.
Scott Travis, accused of taking £12,000 off a woman by posing as a Muslim businessman, is once again being interviewed by the police. They produce a mobile phone, which they say Scott used to contact the victim. Scott responds by doing the very thing his lawyer told him not to do. He talks. He says he shared that phone with a friend called Cash. He then asks for a break to speak to his lawyer.
I'm not denying that it's me, but the thing about it is that BlackBerry, we both used it. The two BlackBerries, one was his girlfriend Shamina's, and the other one
Can I just stop you there?
was mine.
The issue is, right, on
We
the
both
last...
used it.
Right, but listen to
I let
this.
him use them.
But the last time, you confirmed that phone was yours and you said you didn't get it back. You didn't get that phone until November. Well, you've gone and shot yourself in the foot because the last time you were interviewed,
Yeah.
they've obviously got evidence that you've called the police on that number
Yeah, I've
before,
not-
which is why I said to you, zip your lip and don't say anything, because now you're backtracking on what's been said.
But I'm not. The thing about it, I'm not going to deny that I had that phone all the way through the year. But he used it as well. We both used it.
Yeah, but that's not what you told them last time when I told you not to speak, because last occasion I've got all your interview
No,
notes. and you
I
did say-
admitted that
yeah.
it was my phone. In November, he actually he's been
Scott,
using
I'm going to be
it.
really blunt with you now, right?
Yeah.
We've stopped the interview so many times and we're having the same conversation.
But can I
time
just
and time
explain
again.
something to you? In October, he gave me in October, he came back with this BlackBerry mobile, right? And he said to me, "You can use it if you want to use it. I'm getting a different number." Do you know what I mean? I don't even know the girl. And what do you think about the situation with Gail? She's gone against me, hasn't she?
Well, I told you that very likely that she would have done. I warned you that before the interview, that although you might think somebody wouldn't do it, you know, they'll do anything to get themselves out of trouble.
Yeah, but I've been with her for 18 years.
I don't know what to say to you, Scott. I can't obviously account for why she said what she said on the
I'm not
interview,
denying
but-
that I had access to that phone. I'm not denying that I had it before November. I did have it earlier on in the year, of course I do.
Scott,
Yeah.
honestly, you want the honest opinion about it.
Yeah,
I told you
go
what
on.
I think. The evidence is strong against you. And I'm being honest, I can lie to you if you want and dress it up and say, oh, it's really straightforward, you'll get a not guilty. But I'm telling you now, you need to prepare yourself for the worst, because the evidence they've got is that you've used it intermittently, this phone, and unfortunately it's got some pictures of the... Just watch your head on that button, I don't want you to press it in. We don't want the cops running in thinking you're attacking them. You are going to gain nothing by speaking to them because of what you've said. You've used the card, you've been involved in it, you've been doing things for Cash. Then they find a picture of you that bears the name Cash on the phone, and there are pictures that the victim has seen on the account of the Facebook account, for instance, that are on the actual phone as well. I can't see how anyone could explain that if you wasn't Cash.
I'm not.
Right, well...
You obviously think I am, don't you?
No, it's not about what I think.
Tell me what you think.
I'm not going to tell you what I think, because it's not about what I think.
Tell me.
I'm here to give you...
No, because that's a problem I had before.
No, Scott,
Tell me.
I'm not going to tell you anything about my personal views of this case, because what I think is irrelevant. I'm here to purely give you advice on the evidence, and the evidence is strong.
Scott Travis subsequently sacked Tucker's and used another law firm. He was charged with fraud and pleaded guilty. His girlfriend Gail was also charged, but she chose to go on trial. It's the first day of Liam McMahon's trial for grievous bodily harm. Liam and his dad are feeling the strain.
I'm a bit worried in case he gets found guilty, but I'm happy for him to go for the trial, so because the least thing he can get his story across. Because at the end of the day, it was the other guy that was having a go at him.
Hopefully he don't turn up with it. So.
To add to the stress, there's a shortage of courtrooms. The trial is shifted down the road to Manchester's other Crown Court at Minshall Street. And legal arguments delay the start of the trial to the following morning.
Day 2 of Liam McMahon's trial.
The main prosecution witness takes the stand. Under cross-examination, the witness said he couldn't recall whether or not he'd had a spade. After he's given evidence, the defence team is optimistic.
It's gone well because well, the guy was lying anyway, and it's just pretty much admitted to having a spade, saying he don't recall if he had a spade, when obviously he clearly did. So if you can't recall, then it should be something that sticks in your mind, shouldn't it? If the night when he's been stabbed, that should be remembered, that, shouldn't it?
I'm quite pleased because I could see some of the faces on the juror, and when some of the evidence was coming out and his answers to it, you could see that they just didn't believe it.
I've mentioned in passing that I might make a submission of no case to answer on the basis that the evidence is manifestly unreliable. I'll have to think about that overnight, but certainly it's not the strongest of cases. But to be honest, those are the ones I worry about the most.
Chris McMahon has taken time off work to help with his son's case.
All right, son. Neil's been on the phone to me. He's been trying to get hold of you as well. I love my son, don't I? And obviously, I need to be there that time when he needs support. So I just feel it's just something that any father would do. I wasn't really happy about Liam picking up a knife and going out, but thankfully, at the end of the day, if he didn't have it, then he could have been in a lot worse trouble. He got into a little bit of trouble about 3 or 4 years ago, and that might have had something to do with me and his mum splitting up, really, looking back on it. But mainly, as a whole, he's not a troublesome lad at all.
Day 3 of Liam's trial. Ian asks the judge to consider dropping the case because the main prosecution witness was so weak. The judge agrees. He describes the prosecution witness as vague, totally contradictory, and unreliable. The judge orders a not guilty verdict to be entered.
The judge just threw it out with lack of evidence, to blatantly tell that he was lying, so yeah, I'm happy with that anyway. Yeah.
Job's a good one.
I appreciate it. Probably should have stayed in the house, but it's what happens at the time and how you think and when you panic. Justice has been served for once.
Hopefully we won't see you again. Cheers.
Take care.
Oh, it was like that. I really started crying. I got really emotional, so it's so made up that he was coming home basically anyway.
Well, it's great, isn't it? I mean, this is what we do the job for, this is what it's all about, and to be honest with you, we were quite confident that that would be the case.
There were a lot of flaws in the case, as was heard in court today, with the police losing vital evidence. They'd lost the spade, which was pivotal to the whole case. We didn't know until we turned up at court on Monday who was actually prosecuting the case. Had we had the opportunity to speak to the lawyer who was dealing with it, then the potential was there for not wasting everybody's time with this fiasco, because that's what it was.
At Manchester Crown Court, Gail Hayworth, girlfriend of Scott Travis, is to go on trial for fraud. She's using another law firm. But the trial doesn't happen. Gail changes her plea to guilty. She accepts that she collected money from Scott Travis's victim.
Although I am innocent, I feel that the jury may not believe me, and I was advised it would be better to plead guilty. I want to keep Scott Travis out of my life. This is a man who was living in a world of his own, not a reality-based world.
Gail still lives in the flat she shared with Scott Travis. 8 months on, there's not a gondola in sight.
I've taken down the pictures that he wanted, that were his. They were there. A picture of Italy there. I did a few car boot sales last year. Yeah.
She denies that she profited from their fraud.
What he's done with the money, I don't know. I know he spent some money on clothes. I've never been on holiday with him in all the 20 years. And I've never picked up wads of cash. I've picked up 2 envelopes and I have no idea how much money was in those envelopes because I never opened them. When you're in prison, it's a very lonely place and you've got to have some hope. So he writes, you know, that he loves me and all that. But those words, it's not, you know him by your deeds. It's not what you say, it's what you do. So he's going to be in prison for a long time, isn't he?
Scott Travis gets a further 18 months imprisonment for the new fraud offence. The judge labels him a born liar. Gail Hayworth is sent to prison for 8 months.